In recent years, light novels have become all the rage. Many series got their starts as light novels, like Vampire Hunter D. Many light novels are just continuations or side stories of established series, like Bleach and its trilogy of Can't Fear Your Own World novels, which I've recently started. My favorite series of light novels is Muscles Are Better Than Magic, story by Duranko and art by Ray Lucy. Black Clover is not excluded from this privilege of having a published light novel. I find it funny because in every single video where I mention the Black Clover light novels, I get a comment. Black Clover is a light novel? Why yes, my friend, and actually there are 3 Black Clover light novels. Though the likely reason that you may not know about the light novels is because your localization service, like Viz, hasn't translated it yet. So if you wish to be able to read the official English translation of these novels, please reach out to Viz and politely request they purchase the rights to these novels respectfully. In today's video, I'll be going over Black Clover's first light novel titled The Book of the Black Bulls. So if you want to know how the light novel has expanded our knowledge of Black Clover's power system, an expansion of lore and world building, as well as providing character development for Noelle, Magna, and Yami, then please stick around as I go over the first Black Clover light novel. I'm sure that some of you may not even know what a light novel is, and there really is not a single answer as people have different definitions of the term. I would argue that a light novel is a novel that is generally written with the typical anime/manga style of writing with said tropes in that genre, while featuring anime or manga style art occasionally within its pages. I believe it is important for me to mention why I consider these light novels important. That's because they are canon material, as though these novels were technically written by Johnny Onda. Tabata supervised this work, and then stated within the manga's pages that the light novels were canon, as well as stating so in the data book. Keep in mind that Johnny Onda is also the screenwriter for the Black Clover movie that's coming out in a few months, as well as he'll be the writer for the light novel adaptation of that film. So essentially anything within this light novel is actually a part of the Black Clover history. And I do want to say that Black Clover's first light novel will feature no manga spoilers, as it takes place very early in the series, all before the Witch's Forest arc, but it will of course feature spoilers of the light novel itself. Now you may have actually watched half of this light novel before. That's right, watched, as chapters 1 and 4 of this light novel were adapted as canon anime episodes, episodes 55 and 56 of the anime. So yeah, if you read the manga and watch these anime episodes, you might have just assumed it was filler. Nope, it's actually canon, light novel, being adapted to fill in the gap for Fonzel, Mariella, and Damina, as it was a bit jarring with the way they were introduced in the manga. The light novel is essentially 4 different short stories that are loosely connected, though because chapter 1, 2, and 4 seem pretty sequential, I'll be discussing them in that order, and then finishing with chapter 3. Chapter 1 of Black Clover's first light novel is a flashback, as it takes place between chapters 1 and 2 of the Black Clover manga, near the end of Asta and Yuno's 6 months of training before taking the Magic Knight's entrance exams. Essentially, it takes place 5 months before the start of the Witch's Forest arc. We see Asta training his ass off. He's become considerably stronger since he'd first gotten his grimoire and defeated the rogue Magic Knight Rebchi. Though Asta has progressed physically, he's struggling to use the Demon Slayer sword properly, as he stumbles when he swings it and his form is erratic. Then a man appears from the other side of the forest, a nude man in a full sprint with a giant boar chasing behind him. Asta, confused and concerned, strikes the boar and sends it away with a single blow. Asta proceeds to clothe the naked man, who reveals himself to be named Fonzel. Then, Asta shares the infamous Haj potatoes with the man, and the two converse while sharing the meal. It's revealed that Fonzel had been hiding out in a cabin and waiting for someone. He decides that while he waits, he'll train Asta in the way of the blade. He pulls out a stick and covers it in his magic, forging a sword out of the wind. He trains Asta for several days, significantly improving his ability to use the Demon Slayer sword, delivering Asta such pointers as making sure his toes are pointed in the same direction of his swing, and that his right foot should be a half step in front of his left foot, and if he's going to swing consecutively, he shouldn't pause between slashes. Asta grows more and more confident with his power as time goes on, but Fonzel seems to grow slightly worried and wishes to know why Asta wants to gain such power and grow so strong so quickly. Of course, Asta reveals his motivation, that he wants to join the Magic Knights and become their leader, become the Wizard King. Fonzel appreciates Asta's goal and his resolve and thinks of his own former students in comparison to this magicless young boy. He tells Asta that he had loads of skill and talent, that Asta would be his second or third best student out of the hundreds that he's taught as a commander in the Diamond military. As their training continues, Fonzel's former student and current ally, Mariella, arrives. Mariella was looking for Fonzel's wife, Domina, but she regrets to say that Domina has likely passed away, as the only thing that was left of her presence was her bloodied wand. Fonzel goes to be alone and cope with the potential death of his wife and uses her wand to create a wind mirage of her. While he's mourning, Mariella sneaks into the room and reveals that Fonzel had let many of his students flee the nation of the Diamond Kingdom, but they were all hunted down and assassinated. That she was the only survivor, she then stabs Fonzel and lets a squadron of diamond assassins into the cabin. See, Mariella was allied with Fonzel, but she was given a choice when she was recaptured by the Diamond Kingdom. It's work with the diamonds or die. So Mariella chooses to live. The Diamond Kingdom wishes to recapture Fonzel because they need him to finish training Mars, who's in his final stages of becoming a mage warrior. So if you think about that, that means that the Mars that we see in the dungeon is way weaker than what he would have been because Fonzel never got to train him. So that's an interesting thing that shows that if they had successfully recaptured Fonzel, it's likely that Mars actually kills Asta and wins that dungeon fight. Pretty wild, right? Asta then barges in the room though, but Fonzel pleads for Asta to leave. He promises that he'll survive if Asta chooses to live instead of fighting. Asta obliges, but before he can fully leave the cabin, he comes storming back into the room and hits the assassin holding down Zell. Zell ducks and then proceeds to body much of the assassin squad alongside Asta. Mariella takes heed to Fonzel's advice that in order for a surprise attack to work, she needs at least triple the force. If they lose half of that, re-strategize, and if they lose another half, retreat. So she retreats but promises she isn't done hunting him down. After this, Asta and Fonzel part ways, with Asta now a proper swordsman, and Fonzel having regained hope that his wife, Domina, is still alive. This chapter, or episode if you watched it, was rather interesting. I actually think it would have been better if the manga had featured this story for chapter 2, instead of skipping the 6 months entirely and just going into the Magic Knight's entrance exams, as this light novel chapter shows Asta's competence. He's literally fighting squads of enemy nation assassins, yet nobody wanted to pick him because he was a peasant with a mysterious power, showing how hypocritical the Magic Knights were to reject him merely because he's a peasant with no magic. I think this could have further showed the divide and hypocrisy of the Clover Kingdom. I also enjoyed that we got to see Asta getting actual sword lessons, which is something that is pretty much absent from the manga proper. This chapter of the novel added even more to the series' importance of grimoires, as Asta asks Fonzel, "If you're so strong, why didn't you just kill the boar yourself?" Well, Fonzel reveals that it's because he didn't have his grimoire or his sword, so he wasn't strong enough to do so. Showing again that getting a grimoire is a pretty big power boost. Now, we'll move on to chapter 2, which, fair warning, features one of the biggest pervs in all of anime, and by far the biggest perv in Black Clover. Though he actually does at least get some character progression. This is the Noelle short story portion of the light novel, and details her training early in the series as she figured out how to control her vast magic power. She goes to the black market with Vanessa and finds a woman named Domina Code, who runs a business selling magic items that she makes. While there, Noelle finds a cat-shaped brooch made of amethyst. This is a tool that could help her control her magic power. While Noelle purchases the brooch, Domina does warn Noelle that she's cute, and that the magic item might go overboard. Noelle was a bit confused, but she would later find out the meaning of Domina's comment, as the brooch was actually a sentient item named Bruce, and this was one of the first things he said to Noelle. "Can you show me your titties?" Just a peek. Yikes. Though seeped within this over-the-top perviness, Bruce was in fact a great magic item for Noelle, as he was actually able to discover her problem. Noelle had vast amounts of magic power, but her ability to manipulate it was very poor. He said it was like she was trying to transfer a full bucket of water into another vessel, and doing it with only a single teaspoon. Bruce noticed that this was a peculiar thing to see, as generally when people's magic power grew, their ability to control magic grew alongside it, but unfortunately this was absolutely not the case for our best girl Noelle. Bruce promises that he'll turn Noelle's teaspoon into a ladle, then a cup, then a pitcher, and then eventually the bucket itself. Training doesn't go as smoothly as Noelle had hoped though. Not only is her progress slow, but Bruce is the biggest perv in the series, like I said, constantly wanting to get with Noelle, or even wanting a peek at the other Black Bull gals. Sometimes, Bruce even provides lore in the Black Clover world, which is very interesting. Here's a statement from him talking about magical tools. There may not be record of this, but magic tools with a will of their own can be found throughout history. Well, I admit that there are not many of us. That's why you should totally show me your titties. God damn it, Bruce. Give us a very interesting point in the lore of Black Clover just to ruin it in the final part of the statement. But I like the idea of there being magic items in Black Clover that go beyond just tools. They have some sort of soul or spirit attached to them, like Bruce. I wish we could see more of these things, and honestly, it makes me think it's possible that Asta could eventually speak with his swords like Ichigo, as Bruce stated that many magic items partially feast on the life energy of their wielders, which is how they can become sentient or change as a spirit. Which makes me think that this is a pathway to the swords of Asta becoming characters themselves. Now, it's stated that Bruce has gotten a lot weaker over the time, and it actually is implied that he used to be wielded by the elves, or some sort of race that has higher magic power than the humans. I too have become decrepit with my age. During my heyday, I was able to cast a large amount of magic. However, nowadays, I find it difficult to control human magic, and I can't do so for extended periods of time. Now, I wonder if this could be dwarves, the elves, or even some other new race entirely. Who was Bruce working with in the past? I'd say it's likely elves, because that's like the most prominent other race we see. Maybe devils, I guess, but I really hope that we get more light novels that can go even further deeper into this. Bruce even talks about dungeons themselves, that they are ruins left behind by the ancients. They contain guides for using ancient magic or powerful magic tools, which is interesting, but I hope that he would have talked a bit more about these ancients. In fact, Bruce was found in a dungeon a few hundred years prior to this chapter. So we know that Bruce has been doing this for a long time, and it makes me wonder if it's possible that for the new movie, Black Clover Sword of the Wizard King, that maybe he actually helped one of these past Wizard Kings before. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to see. Through Noelle's training with Bruce, we get more insight on her as a character. The main reason that she's taking the care to actually train is not necessarily because she wants to get stronger, it's why she wants to get stronger. She got kicked out of her family because she could not control her magic, but there were people who welcomed her with warm, open arms, the Black Bulls. She wanted to pay them back for that. She wanted to help them and become one of them. Luckily, Bruce is able to determine why Noelle can't control her power very well. That is because she can't properly determine the amount of power needed in each of her spells. She may summon a lot of magic for a small spell, and it goes out of control. Or she may do the opposite, summoning too little of mana into a large spell. You try to force your spells so the water splashes about, spills, overflows, and moves in other ways against your will. She needed to get a sense for the amount of magic power needed in each of her spells. Bruce says that she kind of follows a blank path when she casts her spell. What if she instead focused on a path in front of her? It will help her control it, and this really actually does eventually work. There is one of these pervy jokes from Bruce that I actually like, because it actually made me laugh and it really wasn't that bad. When Bruce tried to be pervy to Noelle, he defends himself by saying, "Whether big or small, all men have a perverted side to them. That boy that you're interested in, Asta, surely has such a side to him too. I bet he'd act the same way if you removed even one layer of those thin clothes of yours." And it's funny because Noelle freaks out in her typical way. Another way that Bruce helps Noelle is by taking her into the bath and having her manipulate already formed water. Letting her skip the step of creating it would make it easier for her to control her own. Though Bruce did say he only did this to see Noelle in the bath, the logic for the training seemed to have worked anyways. Once Noelle was finally starting to get the hang of her own magic power, Bruce starts to lose his consciousness while supporting her, which concerns Noelle. But she doesn't get much time to think about this because a neighboring village becomes under fire. And the Black Bulls are tasked with mitigating that fire until the magic forces dedicated to fighting fires arrive. Which I think is interesting that the Clover Kingdom has firefighters. Yeah, I guess Black Clover did Fire Force first, right? Anyways, when Noelle arrives at the scene, she gets motivated by Yami and Asta, who face the flames head on, like directly running into the magical flames. With his encouragement and Bruce's training, Noelle successfully fights the fires, and it actually does such a good job that she outshines the Clover firefighters and does most of the work. Unfortunately, because of her constant use of Bruce in the firefighting, she exhumed all of his life energy, and his spirit was beginning to fade. In Bruce's dying moments, he told Noelle that she needed to be strong and humble and keep pushing forward, and gave her further words of encouragement by saying that towards the end of her firefighting endeavor, he wasn't even helping her anymore, which showed that she'll be fine without him. Noelle seeks help from Domina to repair him, but there's nothing she can do. Instead, she tells Noelle to take solace in the fact that him dying so that Noelle could grow was what he wanted and cherished. Despite unholy levels of perviness from Bruce the Bruce in this chapter, I thought it ended up being a nice story. It was interesting to learn more about the Black Clover power system, as well as see how Noelle trained to get stronger. As in this chapter, Bruce states that generally when people's magic power grow, their mana control grows naturally with it. This was not the case for Noelle for some reason, and I wonder why. possibly having something to do with Megicula? Maybe not, maybe. Or maybe it's something to do with the theory for her being the daughter of the sea god. Likely. This chapter has made me yearn for some more magic items to be featured in the main series proper. Noelle was already one of my favorite characters. This made me like her even more. That she put up with such a pervy magic item so long, just so she could get stronger to help her new family. Damina gives Noelle a wand in a sponsorship type of way at the end of the chapter, as she hopes that when people see a royal magic knight using her items, more people will come to her shop. So today's video is sponsored by me and you, and that is the members of this channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, you get access to a bunch of cool different emotes and other rewards, but I want to tell you guys that the biggest thing I am doing now is that for all members, you'll be getting a exclusive member video every single week. If you become a Brigade Captain member, you'll get an extra video per month on top of those one video every single week. And all Wizard King level members will be getting 2 exclusive member videos per week. That is 8 to 9 videos per month at $15 a month, which is less than $2 a video. And that is also on top of other rewards, like you'll be getting access to the Wizard King Roundtable, which is a discussion I'll have with all of you guys every single month. So if you guys really want to help support the channel and you also want extra videos on the side besides my video projects I'm currently doing, then please become a member. You will get a lot of extra videos as well as helping support the channel. This week's member videos are for all members. They get Composite Black Clover is Broken, and Wizard King members will be getting a discussion on magic items in Black Clover. So I think I'm going to go into Chapter 4 first and then finish with Chapter 3, as Chapter 4 is more connected to Chapters 1 and 2, so it flows better. In Chapter 4, Noelle is rummaging through the forest looking for magic restoring plants. Instead, she finds a man with no pants. Oh boy, Fonzel. Of course. Noelle is creeped out from a nude man approaching her in the forest, and Fonzel is in a mumbled state, so the words he's saying are muffled. He's trying to ask for help. Instead, she thinks that he's asking for her, little cringe. But as Noelle flees to the Black Bull's base, Fonzel follows her. He peers through the door at Noelle, who's just alerted the Black Bulls of a creepy, naked man following her, trying to get her in bed. And Fonzel says, "I'll even pay you for it." Yeah, Fonzel, poor choice of words, especially around the protective Black Bulls. So of course, the Black Bulls beat the absolute shit out of Fonzel. I mean, that's really his fault at this point, right? But luckily for Fonzel, Asta arrives and recognizes him as his former short-term master, relieving Noelle and the Black Bulls. Fonzel recognizes Noelle's wand as the work of his wife, Damina, who he's been searching for. This instills him with even more hope that she's alive. But before Fonzel can leave, the Black Bull's base is surprise attacked by a force of diamond assassins led by Mariella and Commander Galio, a powerful spatial mage. Of course, the Black Bulls collectively eradicate the diamond threat. It's not even a challenge, which is supposed to be surprising, as it's revealed that this was Mariella's plan. Feeling regret for returning in her former allies and her old master, Mariella aims to redeem herself by saving her master and then turning herself over to the Clover Kingdom. So she told Commander Galio to attack the Black Bull's base, without telling them the kind of situation they were getting themselves into, without telling them how powerful the Black Bulls were. Fonzel would learn of Damina's location to go and meet her, as to which she abuses him for scaring her, but also falls lovingly into his arms. Commander Galio arrived and attempt to trap them inside of a spatial realm. Instead, Asta, Fonzel, and Mariella invade that realm and take him down with very little difficulty. Once the diamonds are defeated, Fonzel and Mariella leave to rejoin Damina, with Fonzel asking Asta for money on the way out. At the end of the episode, Yami recognizes Fonzel as Fonzel Kruger, former Diamond Kingdom commander, and just realized that he spent the day aiding and abetting a criminal and an enemy of the Clover Kingdom. He tells Ghosh to tell nobody about what they did and what occurred that day. Ghosh obliges, as long as he's granted extra time to spend with Marie. I felt this chapter ended up being a bit of a letdown for how easily the Black Bulls fended off the diamonds. I wish there was a bit more of a fight with some more actual Diamond Kingdom characters that were actually competent fighters. With Commander Galio being more of the supposed intimidating villain, he really didn't do anything. But it's fine. I get it, Tabata. You want the diamonds to be jobbers. But besides that, it essentially wraps up the mini Fonzel arc that helped build him up for the Witch's Forest arc, as these chapters make those episodes way less jarring and gives him a lot more weight as a character, as he technically is Asta's first teacher or master. I wanted to finish the video with Chapter 3, as it makes the most sense, flow-wise, and it is my favorite of these chapters, so I'm saving the best for last. It involves Yami and Magna going to a magic academy for a day and teaching a bunch of kids. The light novel reveals that the Clover Kingdom is dotted with educational institutions known as magic academies. They are intended to teach and train boys and girls who've yet to attain their grimoire. Though the Noble Realm is filled with highly quality, well-funded magic academies, the Common Realm academies do not have the resources they need. The Forsaken Realm is devoid of these magic academies entirely. They actually don't even get one until the anime canon time skip, like the 6-month time skip between the Elf Arc and the Spade Saga. We would eventually get an episode showing that Taj in the Forsaken Realm finally does get a magic academy, which is pretty cool. But anyways, these institutions that are meant to train children before they've attained their grimoire. Within the town of Raiki, which was at the northern tip of the Common Realm, one more degree north than it would be the Forsaken Realm, is where Yami and Magna are sent to teach for a day. Well, teach wasn't the primary goal. See, originally Fogolion and Leopold were tasked with going to the school and rooting out a rumored Diamond Kingdom spy from the classroom. But they received a mission that was deemed more important, thus this mission was passed along to Yami, who took Magna with him. When they show up, Magna acts like a gangster towards the children, and speaks like one. Their demeanor scares the teacher named Harris, who instead of standing up for and defending the students, cowers down. One of these students, Allison, is pointed out as a recent transfer student. She's not only the most talented student in the class, but the entire school. She draws the suspicions of Yami when she mentions how she knew that the Magic Knights were coming into her classroom, even though she shouldn't have been privy to that information as a student. Eventually, Yami and Magna force the class outside, and makes them run laps to work on the kids' physical strength and stamina. He promises to answer more questions if the kids can band together and land a solid enough hit on him to knock him to the ground. This is all really a tactic to try and root out the spy amongst the classroom. Eventually, Yami and Magna stir up the students to unleash their full power, and Allison, the presumed spy, lands an attack on Yami that sets him on his rear, further increasing our suspicions as the audience that Allison is the spy. But Yami had other ideas. As everyone surrounded Allison and congratulated her for landing the winning shot on Yami, the teacher, Harris, sneaks up behind Yami with his grimoire at the ready. Yes, all along, it was the teacher who was the diamond spy, and Yami was actually able to piece this together, as he knew that anyone given the authority over students would care for them, would stand up for them, in such acts as making them physically exhaust themselves, as well as fighting the captain. But Harris stood back, he cowered down, and he let it happen. A struggle would ensue in between Harris, Allison, Yami, and Magna, though ultimately they would defeat him thanks to Yami revealing his true power, and then Harris would be ensnared by Magna after being defeated by Yami. At the end, Allison and others wish to become strong enough to join the Magic Knights, but they are a little concerned with their status as commoners. But Yami reminds them that the Magic Knights is actually filled with commoners. Hell, Magna is a peasant, and Yami reveals that he's a foreigner. This boosts the hope in Allison and the others that one day they can become Magic Knights just like them. I loved this chapter. I love the chemistry between Yami and Magna. They just really get along so well, and they're so funny. And of course, this subversion was so amazing. I remember first reading it, I thought it was obvious that Allison was the spy. But of course, Johnny Onda, with Tabata's supervision, slowly built up breadcrumbs of evidence that it really was Harris, the teacher. I enjoyed the expansion of the world building in this light novel. Only the common and noble realm have schools, and the closer to the capital, the better the schools are, because they have more mana and they have more money. We're also informed that each country on the continent has several spies in each of the other countries. It's not right, Yami states this, but they do it anyways. Which can explain why some things like Dante knowing about Yami and William having dark and world tree magic, since the Spade would have spies in Clover. And also further gives us backing on the Black Bulls having a spy in the Spade Kingdom knocked. But probably my favorite thing was just seeing Yami being a bro with a bunch of students and giving them the motivation to aspire to their dreams, despite them being borderline peasants themselves. Using his position as a Magic Knight captain, his power, and his title as foreigner, Yami being a beacon of hope to them. If a foreigner can be a Magic Knight captain, a commoner can become a Magic Knight. Overall, I like the novel. It was pretty good. Hopefully chapter 3, Yami and Magna's chapter, gets adapted one day. It would be pretty entertaining. While the light novel doesn't actually unveil anything extremely important in the manga or anime can be read or watched without the addition of this material, I think you would be wrong to say that this light novel doesn't enhance the Black Clover world. But out of the 3 light novels, this is probably the worst one. Yet I still like it, which shows how good the light novel series is, and I can't wait to cover light novel 2, hopefully in a month or so. The second one is probably my favorite, and one of the short stories in it is the events of when Magna and Luck entered a dungeon to find a cure for Asta's cursed arms. That is by far the best chapter in all 3 of the light novels, and easily one of the best moments in the history of Black Clover. I love it, and I cannot wait to cover that specific chapter. So yeah, credit to the Black Clover database Tumblr that translated this novel so I could read it and get this out to you. Link to the light novels will be in the description down below. So thank you guys so much for the support. Please like the video and comment down below if you want me to cover the other 2 Black Clover light novels. Thank you guys so much for the support. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, turn notifications, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord. And become a member if you want to support the channel and get access to extra Black Clover content. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace out.